What's up, and welcome to episode 287 of First Geek 411. I'm your host, Cameron Franklin, and with me, as always, from West Coast, Best Coast, is Emma. How are you doing?
Hi, I'm doing good. It's a good week. Living a good life. Can't complain.
Nice. It is a good week. We got some good
Yeah,
news to talk about as well, or big news to talk about. Not necessarily all
yeah.
good, but we'll talk about. We're finally talking about Nintendo Switch 2, since we did not chat last week. Then we are also chatting about the Oscars and the latest Star Wars game that has been announced. We'll do that after we also catch up on what we have been up to. Before we get into all of that, you can find us around the internet as One Geek 411. Find us on YouTube and Twitch around 6:30, 6:45 Mountain Time. You can also find all the VODs over on Twitch or on YouTube. There we go. Like,
You
comment,
got there. Took
subscribe,
you a
all that
while.
kind of stuff. Yeah, I messed up my order, and so now I'm thrown off. So
Yep.
you can also find us on social medias as OneGeek411. Join that Discord server. Shoot us an email at 1stgeek411@gmail.com, and then check out that Redbubble store. Emma, what have you been up to?
Yeah. A couple of good things. I went camping in Death Valley last week. Last weekend, which is why we weren't here last Monday. My godparents came into town, so we decided to go camping out in the desert. It was a lot of fun. Had a good time. We saw a lot of rocks, because that's what exists out in Death Valley. It is a desert. So I now have more rocks on my bookshelf, admittedly. And it was a good time, lots of fun. Uh, there was drama at Cantrip last Tuesday for D&D, um, in the sense that one of our characters didn't just die; he got fully disintegrated by a beholder, which
Just walk it
means
off.
the only way to bring him back is by a wish or a true resurrection, whatever that spell is. Um, and he was our only monk in our entire 20-person team.
Wow.
And he was also he's he was also the guy who was our herbalist who was making all our health potions for us through the greenhouse.
Oh
Um,
no.
so now, yeah. So it was a very smart target on our DM's part, um, in regards to that. But fortunately, one of our newer players is taking up the mantle of healing potion maker for the time being. But it was very sad because Hawthorne, the character, has been around since pretty much the start of the campaign, and we all love him. And we also learned after his death that Hawthorne was the character who went around and got Christmas presents for everyone, um, at Christmas and handed out a bunch of mysterious anonymous gifts to people. So Saphira, my character, has a dog because of Hawthorne, and it's really sad that he's gone
Oh.
now. Um, so yeah, rest in peace, Hawthorne. We love you. I also
So,
discovered,
quick question on that.
yes,
So, what? Because I know y'all have had previous character deaths as well. What's the
yes,
procedure for like new characters slash resurrecting characters? So, like this one, he's disintegrated, probably not coming
yeah.
back. But like,
Probably not. So that player can create a new character, a new level 1 character, and like play in a slot with a level 1 character.
mm,
Whether or not he decides to do that is on him and Grayson, probably, our DM. Um, in terms of past character resurrections, I mean, the other three we've had bodies to bring
mhm.
back, so we can do a lesser restoration or whatever. This, like, the options are more
Yeah.
when you have a body, for bringing that character back alive. Except with this campaign, each one of those resurrections has gotten um, more difficult because of the BBEG, who has made it more difficult for plot reasons. Um, because of course, um, so my guess is if we tried with this one, especially because it's a true resurrection, it would be next to impossible. Like, we would
Mhm.
all have to roll nat 20s on it because we're going by Matt Mercer rules.
I like that
So,
also. I
like,
like this
yeah,
idea that like there's something in like the fabric of fate that the more you keep messing with death, the harder
yep,
it is to bring people back.
yep,
I think that's a cool
yep.
gimmick.
It's really cool. And it definitely ups the stakes each time. So it's definitely fascinating. And I'm interested in seeing what exactly happens with it. One of our characters has been offered a bargain where if he a bargain with a demon devil person, so that should be noted up front, where basically if he goes and finds his dad and ends his dad's life, he will be given a greater boon. So he was like, what if we just hunt down my dad and off my dad so we can get Hawthorne back? I don't really like my dad anyway. So,
I
like,
mean, that
I
seems pretty good.
mean,
If you're already
yeah,
gonna do
it's a
this
pretty,
quest anyway.
yeah, exactly. So it just gives us one more reason to float that as a potential idea. Um, so it's definitely ideas have been thrown around, um, except and slash or we're not playing for the next 2 weeks because our DM is out of town. So we're all just going to be sitting around for 2 weeks, literally at home, wondering what's going to happen. Which doesn't sound like a lot, except for the fact that this is a campaign where we play literally every Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I'm just like, I don't know what I'm going to do for the next 2 Tuesdays with my life because I have nothing to do. Anyway, that's that. Other things I have done, I have hobbied the hobbies and played the video games. I recently discovered that Slime Rancher 2 is now on PS5. This is a game that I don't mention often, but the first game I have logged so many hours in because it is the perfect zone out and make no decisions game
Mm-hmm.
for me. I just sit there and wander around and collect squishy slime things and put them in boxes, and it's great. And Slime Rancher 2 came out with its like pre-release, like when they're working on it, but they have people like playtest it or whatever to catch it for bugs. So it's not officially released yet. It came out with that, and it was only on PC for a long time. So I was like, oh, I can't play it. And so it went on my mental, I can't play this, but it's out list that I have until literally like Friday. I was like, oh, I'm curious, like where is Slime Rancher 2 at in its development process? And I saw that it was on PS5, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is great! I'm gonna log so many hours in this because it's my perfect zone out game. So I got it, and I have already logged like 20 hours in it.
Nice.
um,
Shout out to Skull
Probably not
Rose
that
in
much.
chat that says, "Oh God, I haven't played Slime Rancher in so long."
I know. Hi, Gina. um, Gina's getting ready to see our nephew. Gina's my sister-in-law. Um, so, yeah. I haven't played it in a long time either. And then I saw that the second one is now out on PlayStation 5. And so I've probably logged like 15 hours at least over the past 4 days. That's Steam. I don't want Steam. I want PlayStation.
Plus now you got Tuesday. Like
plus now I got tomorrow night.
no D&D on Tuesday. That means
I've got so much time. Yeah. My favorite new slime is the bat. It's super cool and super fun. So that's that. I've watched Doctor Who on Saturday. The new season started. The first episode came out. I'm very neutral on it. It feels very modern. Like, I don't hate it, but I don't love it either. You know, I'm very neutral. I like my classic New Who, which is weird to say. I love my Ninth Doctor and my 10th Doctor and stuff that's much more gritty, and this was much more cartoony. But I can't complain too much because I saw this post on Tumblr that someone made a point that was a very good point. That was like, you can't complain about Doctor Who not being good, because Doctor Who has only ever had one episode a season that is good, and everything else sucks. So you just gotta ride along with the campiness and the cheapness of the show, and just wait for that
Just
one
ride the
good
wave.
episode to come along. And I was like, you know what? You're not wrong. You're actually very right about that. So I'm not going to complain too much. There's going to be at least one good episode in this season, and we just haven't seen it yet. So that's that. Like, I didn't love this episode, but I didn't hate it. But I will have more thoughts and opinions at the end of the season. That's that. That came out Saturday. And then,
as discussed before, I'm sure we'll be doing a spoiler cast for this season, just like we did for the last one. So stay tuned for that.
Stay tuned. They did have a very good call out in this episode, though, of calling out incels, so we shall say, and just don't be that person, basically, because it's not a good person to be. And that was solid. Solid advice. And they made a reference to timey-wimey, which was great. And the new companion's response to that was, "What am I, 6?" And it was great.
I love that. I love
the doctor was like, "It's all timey-wimey," and she was like, "What am I, 6?" And like, I mean, yeah, we all are kind of, in terms of us people who watch this show, we are old children at heart. But anyway, that came out Saturday. Good time. And then Sunday, my other show came out, and it was The Last of Us. The Last of Us season 2.
So I also watched The Last of Us. So we're gonna use this as our transition as we both talk about this spoiler free, just so people just be aware this is spoiler free. And then we'll transfer into what I've been up to. So Emma, what'd you think?
Yeah, I thought it was great. Great start off to the season. Reminder that I will say out loud, because I also needed it 2 weeks ago. Part 2 is being split into 2 seasons and not just 1 season, like part 1. So the story is being stretched out a little bit. And so far, from the 1 episode we've seen, everything they've added to sort of make that work has fit in really well with what we've seen from the game and season 1 already. It's a lot of stuff that like really fits in with where the world exists right now. There's some perfect Joel moments that like that they added to like his story, that when you sit down and think about it, are just like, yeah, you know what? That is a scenario that we would find him in after the events of season 1. Like, that is something he would do. I'm not being specific because of spoilers. But it was great. The end, there's stuff in the end that I'm just like, I don't love it, but I can't really complain because I understand why they're doing it. So yeah, I'm very excited for the rest of the season, and I can't wait to see where it goes. And I get my tattoo finished this week, my Ellie tattoo.
Cool. I'm so excited.
And I was excited to see some of it on screen already.
Yeah. I thought of you when we see his arm.
I was like, yeah, I know where I got this from. So, yeah, I'm excited to get my tattoo finished. I just have leaves to fill in and then shading on the moth. And yeah, it was great. I am not ready for the emotional trauma to come.
Yeah. Yeah. There's going to be so much trauma.
Yep.
We share very similar thoughts. I loved this episode. We're so back. I love T-Lou as a whole. And I'm so excited that we got to see this. As I've said before, I love when they change things. It's for really interesting reasons. And then I love that we get like shot for shot scenes from the game in the show. Like, I love that we get that balance. And I'm very excited for how like the last season is setting up what seems like it could be a meta narrative for this one. I will say we do have a specific Last of Us HBO channel in our Discord. And so I want to shout out everyone that was in there because we were still using spoiler tags, even though that is specifically that channel. So good job, everyone. Proud of all of you.
You know what? We got us.
Yeah. I think that's a great thing. I appreciated that of everybody. And yeah, I loved this episode. I mean, I've said before, Tilu 2 is my favorite video game story. I love everything about it. And I'm really excited for it to see it adapted. And I'm very excited it's going to be 2 seasons at least.
Yeah.
I just did a quick search for how long to beat. The Last of Us Part 1, it has about 15 hours to beat. And then Last of Us Part 2 is 24 hours.
Okay.
So
9 hours additional.
Yeah. And so I'm very excited that like Last of Us Part 1 did not feel rushed being 1 season, but I really think, even though from a game perspective, I think there are some parts of Part 2 that feel slow, I still think it would feel very rushed trying to cram all of that into 1 season.
Absolutely.
And then
absolutely.
Without saying anything specific, I love the opening shot of this season. And then
yes,
I love how we're kicking this off. And so,
well, because they did that with the game too. That's just a general.
Yeah.
That's how they started the season the way they started Part 2.
Yeah.
As a game, and it's great.
Oh, I'm so excited.
I will say that because that is, we're yeah.
And so I'm excited to see what this season goes. I'm excited to see what we get up to. I'm not ready to be emotionally hurt. If you don't know what happens, The Last of Us is a happy game, and everything is going to be perfectly fine.
Can I?
Nothing to worry about.
I put this in the Last of Us page on our Discord, but can I say the thing about what was ending this weekend on Sunday as the show was starting? The not so fun fact. Or no?
I would say no.
Okay.
I think that's and
that counts as a spoiler.
Because I know, but
okay.
That might be a little too close.
Okay. I will just say then, if you want a not so fun fact, go check out the Last of Us tab on our Discord. I have it labeled as a not so fun fact, as a not spoiler, and then the actual thing marked as a spoiler. But I have a not so fun fact that I saw on TikTok that is it was a very diabolical move for HBO, and that's it. That's all I'm gonna say.
Then, similar to Doctor Who, we will be doing a Last of Us Part 2 spoiler cast. I'll be very interested to see if these shows actually end at the same time, and we just kind of go back to back spoiler casts. I'm not sure how if that is how number of episodes wise it's gonna work out, but that'd be really cool if we could do spoiler cast 1 week and do spoiler cast the next week.
We'll make it work.
So yeah, so we'll see how that goes. Other shows, Daredevil, Born Again. We'll chat a little bit more Daredevil later in the show as well. We had our penultimate episode this past week, and so we're just getting ready for the finale of this season, and then we'll have to be waiting for season 2. I'm very excited for this one. Are you caught up on Daredevil?
Busy watching Doctor Who and The Last of Us.
Understandable. just curious.
No, but I did watch some of it this week, so I am getting caught up.
Okay. Potential spoiler cast next week. We'll see.
I can make that work.
And then, oops, did the wrong thing. And then other hobbies that I hobbied. While you were at camping, I was buying stuff for Mead. That was my, I have other stuff I can do when I'm doing podcast. And so So getting stuff ready. My current batch is pretty close to ready to move to secondary, so I'm super excited about that. My cider should be good to go. I just need containers, and I also just found out that there's like a home brewing store not too far from me, which is great because the problem that I've had is I can only find brewing stuff on Amazon, and I could not find any other stuff locally. And so I'm very excited to be able to go check out this brewing store and see if I can like pick up the stuff that I've been wanting to find. I did post in the Discord if someone wants to donate $1,000 to me so that I can buy a kegerator. Like, I would greatly appreciate that. And then another $500 so that I can buy 4 kegs for it. But
details, man.
Details. We're in process. And so, other hobbies. Went and have still been playing Lorcana. As a little bit of Lorcana news that doesn't warrant its whole segment, we had our very first Lorcana bans in the history of the game. And so that's shaking up my deck, unfortunately, which like makes sense. I'm not mad, but like it definitely hit a card. In chat, we have Kegerator sounds like a doof invention from Phineas and Ferb. You're not wrong. Gotta get the Keginator. Yeah. And so been playing that, picked up some new cards, working on a deck for Deanna as well. And so have some stuff coming soon there. And then video games, I have finished Wanderstop, which is the cozy team making game. It's about a like fighter who ends up getting kind of lost in this woods and then goes on this personal journey. The whole stream is over on Cameron plus Deanna. I got the platinum in that, and then I also got the platinum in Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown. And
nice.
So, fantastic game. It's on PlayStation Plus Extra if it's something that you are interested in. I definitely recommend at least trying it for people if you like 2D side-scroller action games. And so it's very fun. It's a Metroidvania. So like as you unlock new powers, you get access to different areas of the map, or it just gets easier to navigate different areas. And so I definitely recommend it. It's probably one of my favorite Metroidvanias, both in terms of like setting, story, gameplay, but also just in how like it's not brutally boring's not the right word, but like the problem that I have with a lot of Metroidvanias is that it's like, how was I supposed to know that wall was breakable? Because like, are you really expecting me to blast every wall in every room? And like this game never did that.
Yeah.
And so I really appreciate that. And so I feel like it respected my time. And that's something that I do not feel a lot of Metroidvanias do. I also liked that that there's like a memory function. So not just can you tag the map, but you can also like take a picture of the map. And so it's like, so it's not just there's something here I need to come back to. You can look at the picture and be like, oh, eventually I'm sure I'm going to get double jump. I'll come back to this area once I get double jump. And so I really appreciated that as well.
That's super cool.
And so, yeah, so definitely recommend that. And then this past Sunday on stream, I started playing The Blueprints, Prince, which is a new puzzle roguelike where you inherit a mansion from your great uncle, and every night the rooms reset, and you're trying to get to this specific area to find the 46th room of this 45-room mansion.
Ooh, I've watched a little bit of a game like this, or this game.
Yeah. And it's super interesting. It does something that I love in a game where the main limiting factor is what you know as a player. So, for example, there's a safe, but once you figure out that combination, that safe doesn't reset. Like the password doesn't reset. So you can just go to that same room, punch in the exact same code, and then open it and get items out of it. And so that's super cool because it it rewards you for knowing how the game works. On top of the way that it works is every time you get to a door, it gives you 3 random rooms in the mansion to pick from. And so you might have to choose between a bedroom that gives you more steps that you can take, the kitchen that gives you food, or like rooms that give you money or keys or gems. And based on what you pick, there's a different number of entrances and exits out of each room. Sometimes doors are locked, like you have to get keys for those. And so then there's a lot of puzzles just in terms of like, oh, wait, this room, like I found a note that said one thing, and then in a different room, I found a note that like recontextualized that other note.
That's cool.
And so it was very cool. Of like, if I would have found them in the other order, I would have known them both. I would have I would have understood the note at the beginning, but because I didn't, I like came in and like discovered this really cool like switcheroo that the game was doing, and I'm like, oh, that is awesome. And so, so definitely recommend. It is free on PlayStation Plus Extra, and I believe it's also on Game Pass. So if you have either of those services, you have access to it. Definitely recommend. From what I've heard, it's like a 17 to 18 hour game to beat. But then there's so many secrets that like one of the people that got like a review code said that he was on like 140 hours into the game.
Wild.
And was like still discovering secrets and still discovering stuff. And like, yeah, so definitely recommend people checking it out. And then final hobbies that I have hobbied is reading. And I have finished the Dawn of X comics that are available through my library. And literally before we started podcast, I finished 10 of Swords. And so I am through this like first like big chunk of the Krakoan era X-Men stories. And so I'm getting to move on to the next chunk. And so I'm very excited. After kind of being in this introduction for so long, I'm very excited to move into this next section. And get to see what that all is about. And then final book is I have been reading Sunrise on the Reaping, which is the new Hunger Games prequel about Haymitch in the 50th Hunger Games. And I'm probably a little over a third of the way through it. I'm like maybe like 40% through. And so I've been really enjoying it so far. I'm excited to see where we go and what we get from these characters. Hopefully we'll have a, not like formal review, but like in a week or two, I'll have this complete and can kind of give here are my thoughts on the book. So, but yeah, those are the things that we have been up to. If you're watching either now or later, let us know what you have been playing, watching, listening to, all of those kinds of things. Let's jump into our news for this episode. We are going to start off with the big news from last week that we missed because we didn't do an episode, so I guess from 2 weeks ago, but we still really wanted to talk about it because we are both Nintendo Switch people. And so
we are.
We did get finally got our reveal of Nintendo Switch 2 software, and let me tell you, like, this was a super cool direct that instantly got muddied with all the other stuff that is going on. Like, not strictly Nintendo's fault for some of it, but some of it definitely is. And so, I'm very excited for us to chat about it. We're going to kind of do, any time that we have these big things, what we like to do is kind of run through the headlines and then hit us, or Emma, hit me with, you want me to stop about something. Same with chat. We already had a good question come in through from Ashley over on YouTube. So shout out to you. We'll get to your question during this as well. And yeah, so we're going to kind of go through and just chat through. And again, like I said, hit me up if you would like me to stop along the way. So first thing, and this is the big thing outside of, or potentially outside of Nintendo's control, is we got the announcement that the Nintendo Switch was going to cost $149.99 to get the base Switch, or $500 if you wanted to get it with Mario Kart 9 or Mario Kart World. We'll talk about that later on. And then it was also announced that pre-orders were going to begin on April 9th. And then it was pretty much immediately announced that pre-orders were delayed indefinitely because that was the day that tariff stuff started blowing out. And so so we will see what all of that is going to look like. I do not believe there has been any update on pre-orders starting, unless I have missed that, but do want to call that out as well. And then from a tech standpoint, it was announced that the Nintendo Switch 2 was going to have 4K support, HDR, the Joy-Cons act as a mouse, and then it's going to come with 256 gigabytes of storage. And then it's a 7.9-inch LCD screen, and then can play games at up to 120 FPS. So very cool stuff there. As someone who has been lovingly critical of the Switch's ability to run games, I am excited. One, that 256 gigabytes, like, thank you for finally giving us a reasonable internal storage.
Yeah.
Like, Switch games are not big, especially when compared to PlayStation and Xbox, and it shows. Like, I have been very critical of, as much as I loved Pokemon Violet, that game runs like a slideshow in specific sections. I'm sure longtime listeners are tired of me saying that, but we need to call out these companies on stuff like that, IMO. And so I'm very excited to see that we're getting some hardware upgrades of, like, Nintendo has never been focused on the hardware side of it, but, like, let's get a system that can run things. And so I'm excited. I'm hoping that this is a good move forward. And then kind of, again, from a hardware standpoint, we also got the reveal of Game Chat. So on the controllers, there's a C button that opens your chat menu. And Emma, are you excited for worse Discord?
Even just a straight up even more bad?
That was like, literally, I was watching that and I was like watching this reveal. I'm like, this is everything that Discord does, but worse. Of, like, I cannot imagine. Like, I'm excited that it's there. Nintendo, please embrace that people want to play your games with other people. Like I would love to play Super Smash Brothers on Switch and be able to chat with my friends easily, not through, like, a separate app like Discord, because I'm definitely not using the Nintendo app for that. So I do like that we have that built in, and we actually have some cool, like, community functions. And, like, they showed that you can, like, live stream and play with your friends, or, like, kind of like almost like a work and lurk kind of thing, where it's like you can be playing and then it'll show you your friends' screens and what they're playing below you as you're, like, hanging out on this group call together. And I was like, oh, that's really cool. I'll just use Discord.
Yeah.
But
the thing that already exists.
Yeah, like, I do have a streaming setup, so it is easy for me to capture my video for games and just live stream it that way to people on Discord. But I'm excited that that's there. I think it's a cool function. And then they showed the camera. And I got to tell you, one of my favorite things from this is that, like, that was real footage because it looks so bad. Like, the video is so choppy for people coming through, and you're like, oh, this is exactly what it's going to look like. Good on you, Nintendo, for not faking it. And then they did show with the camera, they used Mario Kart as the example of, like, the camera is supposedly smart enough to, like, identify your face. And so when something happens in game, it'll, like, pop up what you look like as you, like, cheer or are sad about, like, losing a star or gaining a star. And, like, that's pretty fun functionality.
Yeah.
We could also just have webcams on in a Discord chat, but, like,
yeah.
There is that. And I will say there is a third party camera, like, officially licensed. That's a Piranha Plant. And, like, how cameras have, like, the security shutter. This one is, like, the mouth closes on the Piranha Plant. And that is genius. Shout out to whoever's idea that was, because you are amazing. And so,
yeah.
We also got a look at the new accessories. Not necessarily going to talk about anything else. There wasn't really anything too new there. And then we got our look at games. We got Mario Kart World, which we referenced earlier. This is the new Mario Kart. We'll talk about game prices later on, but it's going to feature 24 drivers, and we're going to have a handful of different vehicles. We're going to also have brand new modes. One of the modes that they were talking about with the 24 people is like every lap, players get eliminated if they're in the back of the pack. Until it's like the final 3. And I'm like, that is a super cool mode of like, oh, there's 24 of us, and this is just, I don't know the actual numbers, just as me saying stuff, but like, okay, after the first lap, the last 4 players get eliminated. After the next lap, 4 players get eliminated. And it's like, that's a really cool way of playing the game. And I really like that as a vibe for like big events with people of like, last person standing at a con would be super fun. Of like, oh, the last one is going to get a prize. And it's, oh, no, this person got eliminated. Like, I'm so in. That seems super cool.
I am right there.
There's also going to, there's also going to be a free roam mode, which is pretty cool. The part of the world is that it's like open worldy. And so that's going to be very cool. And then it was also revealed that the prices of games is really weird. And they're going to be different, almost like tiers. And so it was announced that Mario Kart World is going to be $80 for the digital version or $90 for the physical version, which, let me tell you, big oof there. If Pokemon is $90 and runs like a slideshow, we riot. Like,
rightfully so.
Yeah. Of like, I cannot imagine
prices like that for quality like this.
Yeah. Like if you're going to tell me that this game is $90 and it still doesn't have voice acting, Pokemon, like, I need you to like step it up. And so we'll see what that looks like. Like I said,
are we going to get GTA 6 before we get voice acting in Pokemon?
In Pokemon? Oh, I will say we've talked about Pokemon Legends ZA, and I might have said this when we talked about the most recent trailer. When that trailer stopped, I'm like, this is the trailer of a game that doesn't have voice acting. And sure enough, we've never seen any voice acting in any of the trailers. I was like, they just have a vibe of like, there's no voices in this game. So, and then other games, we got the announcement of a new 3D Donkey Kong for the first time since N64, and that's Donkey Kong Bonanza. It's going to be a lot of like physics as you break off chunks of the ground and do stuff with it. It looks really interesting. I'm excited for it. It releases in July. We also got the reveal of Kirby Air Riders, which, let me tell you, was a game I did not expect to ever come back. Like, this is a Kirby racing game from GameCube that is getting a sequel, and good for them.
Yeah.
But, like,
straight up, good for them.
Yeah. And then we got some more information on games from Switch and how they are going to come to Nintendo Switch. So for some games, they used Legend of Zelda, Breath of the Wild, and Tears of the Kingdom. There's going to be a specific Switch 2 version of the game, whereas other games are going to be patched and maybe you have they might run better or take better, make better use of the hardware. Shout out to Nate in chat, an iconic Kirby racing game. Go check out the reel that he and I are in from Sonic. So that's going to be something. I believe that they said that the Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild are going to be part of the Nintendo Online expansion pass, but the other ones are not. They also revealed a new Zelda Notes app to help you find all of the things. And so,
because there's so many of the things.
Yes, there are many of the things. We also got some more gameplay of Metroid Prime 4. And then we got some more information as well for Super Mario Party Jamboree, as well as Kirby and the Forgotten Lands, where their Switch 2 versions are actually going to get more content. Like, not just like hey, the game looks better, but it's like different levels and like actual like more stuff. And so like that's pretty cool. And then we saw more Pokemon Legends ZA, and found out it's supposed to run better. We also got Nintendo Switch 2 Welcome Tour, which is your introduction to learn all about the Nintendo Switch 2. And you can pay $10 if you want to learn about your system. So, like, we got, like, I don't want to, like, this is something that many people have said. Sony gave us Astrobot for free to learn about our PS5. Yeah. And that was a game. Like, this looks like a walk around and look at your, or I guess it's Astro's Playroom or whatever.
A literal
like,
tour.
Astro, but like, yeah, this is like a literal, like, welcome to your Switch, but it's $10. Like, this should come pre-installed on every Switch and be free. Like, the fact that this isn't is bananas to me. We also got Dragon Drive, which is a wheelchair basketball game, which is making use of the fact that the Joy-Cons can be used in mouse mode, and both of them can, which I feel like is going to be really weird, of like using a mouse in my left hand as like a right-handed person. I have never done that. And so I'm very interested to how that is going to feel. And so Dragon Drive looks really cool, and I feel like it's a game that I would play for like 2 rounds and be like, hey, can I just use my normal controller for this? Like, it looks interesting, but the having to use the mouse on both hands to play it definitely makes me a little sad. We got what is probably my most hyped announcement, Emma, and that is that GameCube is finally coming to Nintendo Switch Online, and we are specifically getting both Pokemon games that were on GameCube, Colosseum and Gale of Darkness, and we are getting Fire Emblem Path of Radiance, which is my favorite Fire Emblem game, and it's basically been locked on the GameCube since it released. I do not believe there is another like legal way to play it, and so I am so excited because this is the game that introduced Ike. Like, it was not my first Fire Emblem game, but it is the game that made me a Fire Emblem fan.
I love that for you. I'm so excited for you.
Yeah. I have not replayed it since it came out. And so, like, I still have my GameCube. I've legitimately been thinking about replaying it. And I'm so excited that I can do that on my Switch whenever I get a Switch 2. And then we also got some reveals from third parties, namely that From Software is doing Duskbloods, which is a PvPvE game from the Elden Ring developers. We are also getting Elden Ring on Switch 2, but not Elden Ring Night Rain. Like, that was the one they didn't show, which seems really weird to me that, like, this game that's currently in development isn't coming out, but maybe this just wasn't the time to announce it. They didn't want 3 FromSoft announcements in one showcase.
Who knows?
Know. Yeah, that was weird to me.
Which 2 of these third-party games I'm excited for? There's
which
2
one?
I'm excited for. Can you guess?
Can I?
Which 2 they are?
Okay, let's see. Well, we got the announcement of Deltarune's chapters 3 and 4.
Correct.
Which feels like an Emma game.
It is, because I am a hardcore, just for that entire series, fan. Deltarune,
and then,
chapters 3 and 4.
And then I don't know what the other one. I mean, like,
one of the only roguelikes Yes.
Okay, it is Hades 2.
It's the only roguelike game I actually love.
Oh.
Is Hades 2.
I feel like I did not know that about you.
Yeah. It's Deltarune and Hades 2, and I'm so excited for both of them. Those are my 2 on Switch that I'm excited for. So, yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, it was announced that Hades 2 is going to be a console exclusive for the Switch, at least for some amount of time. And so that's exciting. And then, yeah, I've never played Undertale or Deltarune. Like, that's something that's so far out of my, like, wheelhouse. But
Undertale
there are
really is
so many
what got
people
me
that
into
love that.
gaming. So
Oh, really? Yeah, that's
I was there. It's an Aslan. Don't cite the dark magic to me, which I was there when it was created. Like, I was there for the Undertale chaos.
Yeah,
So
that's awesome. I feel like I knew you had played Undertale, but I did not I did not know that is like what
I
got
have
you
done
really into
all of the things with Undertale. So I'm excited for Deltarune stuff to come out.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm excited. That's cool. I just did not know that.
Yeah.
Learn something new about your co-hosts every week.
Exactly.
And then for some other third parties, we did get sports game announcements. Split Fiction, Cyberpunk 2077 is coming to Switch 2. Final Fantasy Remake Intergrade is coming. We also got Street Fighter 6, Bravely Default, Borderlands 4. Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3+4 is also getting a SpongeBob level. So that's cool. They showed that off.
Okay.
They showed off a new 007 game. So that's going to be cool. And then they just like casually showed Silksong in like...
Yeah. Casually.
Yeah, like in one of their like game reels. Like, you know, like probably one of like the most anticipated games, period.
With no hard information for years now.
Yeah. Like, it's crazy to me that they just like did not even acknowledge that they showed Silksong. And it's just like just casually threw it in. And so yeah. That's crazy. So that's the major Nintendo Switch 2 announcements. I'm excited that the Switch 2 is out, or like that word of it is out, because that frees up developers to actually be able to talk about it. It does release in June. I believe it releases like the week before Summer Game Fest.
Wild.
And so the cool thing there is that means hopefully that we'll be getting some Switch 2 announcements at Summer Game Fest. So that would be very cool. Or at least acknowledgement of games that are being announced they are coming to Switch 2. And so and then as we move into the next part of our Switch discussion, I also hardcore just panicked that I forgot to put the Switch 2 image up, but it is there. We're good. As we talk through, I do want to call out, we did get some information on prices for stuff. We're not going to by any means go through that, but things are definitely expensive. We did reference Mario Kart World being $80 for digital, while Donkey Kong Bonanza is $70. And so, like I said, there is some weirdness there when it comes to the prices of first-party games. So just wanted to call that out. And then as we referenced at the top, pre-orders were delayed due to the tariffs and the general confusion around that. And then I want to hear from you, and we can chat about Ashley's question. So they said, serious question, will Switch to flop like Wii U in USA or Western markets? So
I don't think it'll flop like as disastrously as Wii U flop, because that was like a serious major flop. But I don't think it's gonna perform as well as a lot of their other, you know, strong performing consoles and things of the past. Because the big thing that Nintendo is known for is sort of reinventing its console systems with every release. So, because we jumped around from GameCube to the Wii, to the Wii U, even though that flopped, to the Switch. Like, they're known for like every new release essentially being a different. You're super delayed visually. You're out of sync.
Okay. I think we're back.
You are back. You have returned.
Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you okay, and you are back in sync. I don't have to go into the timeline and line up your sound with your face by hand. which is something
by
I have to do
hand.
a lot for
Yeah.
work. It's very annoying.
Yeah.
It is a
So
pain in the butt.
yeah, not sure what happened there. Emma was in the middle of her thoughts, and then my OBS just
Just
went kaput. And so,
crumped.
yeah, I do believe we are back. And so, Emma, I'm going to have you run back at least at the tail end of those thoughts of what you were thinking
Okay.
of Switch 2 compared to other systems.
I will summarize and say I think it's going to be like in the middle in terms of sales. I don't think it's going to flop as terribly as the Wii U did, um, because what were they doing with the Wii U? I don't even know what the deal was with that. Because it like played into the Wii at some branch or whatever. I don't know. I don't think it's going to flop like that, um, because that was just weird. Um, but I also don't think this is gonna, you know, succeed spectacularly like other systems, Nintendo systems have in the past. Just because it's not like a complete reinvention of the console, the gaming console in general, which is something Nintendo's known for doing. Is just every other major release is a reinvention
Mm-hmm.
of playing video games, like going from Xbox to Wii to Switch to whatever. You know, they make all these leaps and bounds to doing something completely different, and this isn't really that. It's just an upgraded Switch, which is great. People love
Mm-hmm.
that, but it's not just some random converting console of theirs into a handheld, which I think the Wii U was. I'm still not clear on what that was.
Well, yeah,
But
that's the problem because it wasn't. It just had a handheld controller that had a screen on it, but it wasn't like a tablet. And so,
yeah,
um, yeah, I'm pretty much in line with you there. I went and pulled up like console sales numbers or game sales numbers, and right now, from the numbers that we have, the Nintendo Switch is the third highest selling game console, behind the PS2 and the Nintendo DS. So like, and the DS includes
yeah,
all the variations. So like, that's definitely
yeah.
a big bucket there. And so I don't think that Switch 2 is going to like rival that number of 150
No,
million units. But, and I don't know if we're going to even see it necessarily get up to the Wii, which is 101 million units of sales. But I do think we will see it do well,
yeah,
asterisk the geopolitical state of the world.
yeah.
So of course we don't know what like if Nintendo has to add another $150 to this, like
It
I
might
think
tank a bit more. Yeah,
that definitely changes
yeah,
expectations there. But
yeah,
at least for US.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
but I do think, generally speaking, I think we'll see the Switch 2 do well, and I think the
yeah,
biggest reason for that is a lot of Nintendo fans like myself. The biggest thing that we want is to play our Nintendo games better.
yeah.
Like, of like, for many people, I know you and I are kind of in this camp of like, we both have Switches, but like,
Mm-hmm.
we do our primary gaming on PlayStation. And
Yes.
so I know that for me, I'm really excited that my Switch games will run better, like my Nintendo games will run better. That'll give me better options there. And I think that there's enough of that type of person that is excited about the Switch too, that they will upgrade, whether that's right away or
Yeah.
whether that's holiday season, whether that's the next year. I think there are enough people like that that will say, hey, adding a 2 to the end makes it so I understand what this is, where people did not understand that for the Wii U. It was
Yeah.
confusing. People didn't like. I remember like when when it came out, I asked my little brother about it, and he didn't even know like if it was something that he bought for his Wii or if it was a new console.
Yeah.
And it was like he was, I think, like middle school at the time, and it's like he's
So
kind of
he
your
was the
target
target audience,
Like,
and even he
should be
didn't
the one that,
understand it.
yeah, like he should be the one that understands.
Yeah.
And it was something that I was like, oh, like I don't think we're getting, while there was some muddy communication around the Nintendo Switch 2, I don't think it was that muddy. And I think for the vast majority of people, especially because of PlayStation, we're very used to, oh, the number at the end means it's the better version or it's the newer upgrade of the thing. Like, cool.
Yeah,
like, we understand that.
Yeah. Like
But,
I have a Switch, but it's a Switch Lite. So it's not I don't have the added bonus of being able to click it in and play the games on my TV in the background. It's just a smaller Lite. It's called a Switch Lite. So I do think a good chunk of the people buying the Switch 2 are going to be people like me who waited for the upgrade to get, the full shtick. And then the other chunk's going to be people like you who already have, like you said, like a full Switch, but want the upgrade, which makes total sense.
Yeah. And I don't want us to also leave out the fact that I'm sure they will do a Switch 2 Lite in a couple of years.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Like they're going to do that as a better, like I know one of the criticisms that I've heard is like with the price, like this is much harder for families. Very valid point. And so I think in 2 to 3 years, we'll see them do the exact same move where, yes, you have your Nintendo Switch too, but then you also have your Lite version that is hopefully $100, something cheaper, that you can then use to as an easier way to give to the kids or give to people that like or more on the go of like, I know people that have normal Switches but only use it in handheld, or like that's their primary way to play. And so even though they don't have a Lite, they're basically using it as a Lite. And so I'm sure we'll see that same type of behavior once we get further in. But yeah, that is our Nintendo Switch 2 conversation with built-in technical difficulties along the way. Let us know what you think about the Switch 2 in either video's comment section, because I'm pretty confident YouTube is going to split this in half, but we'll find out. And then I hope everyone can have some good thoughts and good conversation around this. Let's go ahead and jump into our next news segment. Emma, what have you got for us?
Just something quick, nothing super major. Just that the Oscars have announced that they are going to be adding a my thing's being annoying. But anyway, they're adding a section, a segment, an award for stunts and stunts arts to their list of awards that they're giving out, which is fabulous and great. They're adding it for their 100th ceremony, 100-year ceremony, essentially, which is great, except that's in 3 years, 2 years, I can't do math, in 2027. That's happening in 2027. So movies that come out in 2027 are going to be considered for the Stunts Award. This is great because stuntsmen and women put their lives on the line every day to make things look cool, and they deserve awards as much as everyone else. So it's great that it's coming, and people will finally be considered for that kind of thing. It's just going to take us a couple more years to get there. So that's just a brief, cool update to the Oscars of this is something that's coming, and people are going to get recognized for their hard work and talents and skills, and
honestly, it's bananas to me that this wasn't already a thing.
I know it's been a big complaint for years.
And then from like someone who likes behind the scenes stuff perspective, I'm really excited that this means we'll hopefully get to see like not like raw footage, but we'll get to see the footage of the stunt people performing the stunts, like pre face swaps to make it the actor, like all of that. Like we'll get to see more of the stunt people and how they are in the movies, not just in the like the old thing of like if you can't see the actor's face, it's probably not them. Not just in that sense, but like in the sense of like what is all of the stuff that they're doing. And so I'm very excited for that. I think this will be super cool. And then also I'm a big proponent, and I've said this with like the game awards and stuff, of like I'm a big proponent that like the awards you give out should be what you use to push the industry in that direction or in a specific direction. Of like, oh, you want to have better stunt performers so that they can continue to do amazing work. Award them for doing that.
For
like,
doing their
give
good
them
work.
something to work towards. I guess I should say reward them. I think I said award them, but like reward them by giving them an award so that they can have something to strive to, not just be like, yep, and you are on that movie. Like, like I'm so excited for this. I think that this is a great thing.
It's going to be great. And I think, sort of to tack something onto that it'll also sort of push the industry, hopefully, back towards practicals over like relying solely or entirely or mostly on CGI stuff. I have said it many times and I will continue to say it. I love practical effects. And I prefer them every time over CGI. The Lord of the Rings is a perfect example of using practicals, whereas The Hobbit is a perfect example of using CGI. You want the practicals over using CGI because practicals look better and feel better. The audience can tell. Whether or not they know it or not, they can tell 9 times out of 10 that it feels better when you use practical because the actors perform better and interact better with that kind of scenario because it's real in front of them. So, and just the way they pull things off with practicals, so cool. I'm obsessed with it every single time. They planted like 6 million tulips for Wicked, which is so cool. Like the number of people that got a job because they decided to plant 6 million tulips, like, is wild and great and fabulous. So I'm hoping that an award like this being added to the Oscars helps push us back in that direction. So, yeah.
Fully agree. And then for our last bit of news, we got the announcement of, or the official announcement, I think it was kind of known that it was being worked on, but we got the official announcement of Star Wars Zero Company. Currently, all we have is the image that we have up on the screen, but this is going to be a single-player turn-based tactics game set in the Star Wars universe. It is being developed by Bit Reactor Game with help from Lucasfilm Games and Respawn. Respawn being the developers behind the Jedi Fallen Order and Jedi Survivor games. And so, and then Bit Reactor is this is from the IGN article, is a newly formed strategy game studio made up of veterans of games like XCOM, Civilization, Gears of War, and Elder Scrolls Online. The studio was founded in 2022, and we've known for a while that was working on a Star Wars game with Respawn, but this is the first time we've received any real details about the project. We don't have a lot of information on Star Wars Zero Company at the moment because we're going to be getting a whole lot more revealed at Star Wars Celebration Japan on August 19th. The panel is apparently at 4:30 p.m. local time in Japan, which is 12:30 a.m. Pacific, or 3:30 a.m. Eastern time for those of us in
Cameron,
the U.S.
Are you asking me to do math right now?
So
you know I can't do math.
You know I can't do time zone math. So, so like if you're West Coast, like 12:30 isn't awful if you wanted to stay up for it. I will not be up at 2:30 to watch this, and so I'll be checking this out the next day because I'm very excited. we, from the actual XCOM team, we did get Marvel Midnight Suns recently, which is a Marvel tactics game built around cards. I'm very excited for us to be getting a Star Wars game, kind of with the same DNA. I am very hopeful also in the world of post Baldur's Gate 3, where we had a CRPG that probably for like the first time ever really took over the big public consciousness when it comes to games. I would love for this to be a time where they like double down on some great Star Wars storytelling, great companions, like all of that kind of stuff, and give us a Star Wars version of like great parties and all of that, kind of akin to Knights of the Old Republic, where we have some very like great characters and great story. And I would love for this to be like the tactics version of that. And so we'll have more information next week. Of course, we'll hopefully be doing Daredevil Born Again spoiler cast, but we might be talking about this in post-show chat. And so we'll find out from there. But more information to come. We don't necessarily know a ton, but I'm hyped, so I wanted to put it in the show notes. And that is going to bring us through the news for this week. Of course, hit us up if you have any additional thoughts on these topics, or if there's any other news questions that you think we should have mentioned. We do have an announcement, and this was over in the Discord as well. We will be doing a book club for April. It will be on April 28th, and in honor of the Netflix, in honor of the Disney Plus Daredevil Born Again, we are reading Daredevil Born Again. And so I'm very excited. So this is there is an official Daredevil Born Again collection, similar like what we did with Life Death. This is going to collect issues 219 and then 226 through 233 of the classic X-Men or classic Daredevil comics from 1986. And so I'm very excited.
Came in the mail the other day.
Ooh,
I can't wait to read it.
Mine is ordered. It has not arrived yet. I was planning to read this anyway after the show, so I'm really glad that I can use podcast book club as my excuse to read this. But I'm very much looking forward to going through this, especially as like in a lot of ways this has become like the year of comics for me with the library. And so
I'm just excited to read another comic.
Yeah.
That's going to be fun.
And then will the issues actually be about Daredevil, or will they be about random other characters? Who knows? Check out our X-Men Life Death book club for that. And so,
you know what?
Still bitter. I'm still bitter about that.
Still better.
But that is where we're going to wrap. We will head into a post-show for some other chats and stuff. But you can find us around the internet as OneGeek411. You can join that Discord server. Let us know what news we missed and any thoughts you have about the topics. Shoot us an email at 1stgeek411@gmail.com. Check out Redbubble. Remember, you can watch live on Twitch and YouTube. And if you've made it all the way through this on YouTube, please like, comment, leave a comment, and subscribe. That would help us out a whole bunch. And then you can also find all of our previous VODs over on YouTube, such as spoiler casts, book clubs, all of that kind of stuff, in addition to our normal episodes. And then you can also find us around the internet at our personal social media. Mine is Hugh Marwithill.
Mine is I am not prepared with an I am prepared.
And it's been a great week.
Go play a video game.
Don't get stuck in the tractor beam.